Well, that was fabulous. Yeah. Halftime show. All right. Here comes the tricky bit. I think Reg isn't here, but like for people who have been to a lot of LCKs, has anybody ever heard here or anywhere anyone read from Jack's book Pick?
No.
Right. Nor have I. He didn't read it on tape. I've never heard anybody read it. So we're going to take a crack at that bad boy. It's the only book he ever wrote in dialect. It's also, I gotta sit down for this because it's hard to do. It's also, so yeah, he wrote it in the voice of a 10-year-old black boy from North Carolina. Oh, and you should know, if you don't, this was Jack's version of On the Road. You know, he wrote a lot of different versions of that book. And this was the one he wrote in the summer and fall of 1950. So when he was envisioning doing Two Brothers on the Road, the book you now know, he first did it this way. And then in December he got the famous letter from Neil Cassidy. And that then changed his approach to writing, and he and wrote the scroll version a couple of months after that. But this was his vision, his attempt at getting on the road down, the vision of the story he wanted to tell. And one other thing, if you know Vanity of Duluwas, whose 50th anniversary will be next year, and so I hope we're all going to be doing a big Vanity of Duluwas thing next year. But that book, if you remember, was written to Wifey. And he often says during the book, well, Wifey, this is what happened. Keeps going back there. In this book, which is interesting, that at least the only 2 times he ever did that, this book is all written to Pick's grandpa. And so he regularly says grandpa and tells the story that way. So, oh, and it's also, how many bus trips Jack took. And he didn't write about them very much, which was kind of weird, because I guess the hitchhiking was more fun and buses are kind of boring. But this is the most in-depth bus trip Kerouac ever wrote about. So, to Grandpa, 1950. Grandpa, I ain't gonna tell you too much about the bus, cause a heap of doings was cropping up in New York. But I didn't have no notion about them in that bus and just gawked. Well, brother and me paid the man some money, and then we walked back through the people in the seats, and everybody look at us, and we look at them, and we sit down on the back sofa. Only it ain't rightly a soft sofa. And there we sit, looking straight ahead over everybody's head at the driver. And he turned off the light and zoom up the bus. And faster we go, with 2 big old lights leading us all the way through the land. Brother, he fall asleep right away. I stayed awake. I reckon we left North Carolina after about a half hour, or maybe 2 half hours. Because the road done changed from brown to black, and on each side of it, I didn't get to see no more houses, but just wilderness. I guess it was just great big old woods without no houses. And dark and black. Is the wilderness Aunt Gastonia pray about when she's praying again it so loud? And here come the rain pouring down on that wilderness, and the road run wet and lonesome right through it. It's a scarifying thing to see. It made a body glad he's in a bus with a whole lot of people. I watched everybody all night long, but they was mostly sleeping in the chairs, and it was too black to see, but I tried to see. There weren't no use. I sure didn't want to go to sleep that night. I say to myself, Pick, you're going to New York. Ain't it something now, ain't it? And I prod myself and I feel good. And then I got all sleepy and peculiar in my eyes, because I sleep this time of evening back home, and even over in Aunt Gastonia's too. So the next thing I know, I just has to sleep. And that's all I done that night. Come about morning, I look up and see where I am. In a bus. I can't believe it. I say to myself, now that's why I've been bouncing so damn blame much. And I look over to brother, and he's still sleeping. He's got the whole back sofa to himself. He's stretched out all loose and peaceful, and I was pleased to see him sleep. Because I know he must be tired. And I just look out the window. And you know, I never seen anything so powerful and grand and big. I've seen powerfuler and grander things since then, all the way to California. What I seen then was the first time I seen the world, I tell you. It is a great river with a tree shore on both sides, and it spread out yonder, all flat, I guess, all the way to the sea. And then way yonder on a hill, there was a big old white house with posts on the porch like I seen the night before. An ancestral home of a general retired hero of Appomattoxburg or some such, as brother said. And on the other side of the river, I see a grand and fearsome housetop, all wide and round and just like a handsome cup upside down, with little bitty faraway trees and tiny little roofs round underneath it. The man in front said to his wife, "Yonder's the Capitol Dome, darling," and point to it, and that's what it was. And then the finest, softest wind blew in from the land to the river and made everything ripple and jump in the water all over. Most peaceful. And the sun shine on that grand, fine Capitol Dome and hit flush on a streamer. It's tied on a gold pole way up on top of it, and boy, do it look dazzling. All that land I told you we done roll over in the bus at night, here we is in the middle of it. 'Cause there never was a town so wide and so laid out grand. Brother woke up and said, "This here's the city of Washington, the nation's capital, where the President of the United States of America and everybody is." And he rubbed his eyes, and I look close and can see there's a heap of things going on yonder in Washington. 'Cause I hear it hum all over when the bus slowed down at the river red light. And I put my head out the window to watch. Well, I never seen such a big sky and so many fine, solemn clouds as passed over Washington of the United States that morning. And after that, Grandpa, I didn't get to sleep much. It's mighty hot inside the city of Washington when we stopped there and had to change to another bus that said New York. And crowded. Everybody in the world lined up for that New York bus and sat inside sweating. I couldn't sleep no more, except on brother's arm, and had to sit up straight on the back sofa and drop my head over, most uncomfortable. And his poor shoulder was so hot. Bus driver man say, "Baltimore, next stop." But then he run off and do something else instead, and don't come back for the longest time. Well, I wish we was back on that night bus in the wilderness. Babies was crying all up and down that bus and felt just as bad as I did, I guess. I looked out the window and all I could see was a wall on one side and a wall on the other. And the sun beat down on the roof and phew, it was so daggone hot I was sickish. I say to myself, why don't nobody open a window in here? And I look around and everybody's sweating. But they don't make a move for the window. I say to Slim, "Let's open a window, we're dead." And Slim, he pull and tug and wrestle at that window, but can't budge it one bit. Phew, he said. This must be one of these modern air-conditioned buses. Phew, Slim say. Let's go, bus, and blow some air in here. And the man up front turned around and give us a look. Then he tried to open his window. And he can't budge it neither. And he sweat and cuss over it. And then here come a big soldier man. And he reach out and give that window one big pull up. But it don't budge none. So everybody just look straight ahead and go on sweating. Well, you know, that bus driver man, he come back and he seed Slim pulling some more on that window, and he said, please leave the windows alone. This happens to be an air-conditioned bus. And he turned on a button up front when he started the bus, and I tell you, the finest cool air began to blow all over that bus. Only thing is, everybody got cold in a minute. And the sweat turns on me like ice water. So Slim, he tugged at that window again to try to get some hot air back in. But he couldn't do it. And we look out the window at them beautiful green fields, and Slim said that was Maryland, and wished we was sitting in that sunny grass. I reckon everybody felt that same way too. Now, Grandpa, traveling ain't the easiest and pleasingest thing in the world, but you sure gets to see a lot of interesting things, and don't go about it backwards neither. When we got to Philadelphia, folks got out of the bus, and me and Slim got ourselves a new seat, smack dab up front by the driver's window, and bought up some ice cold soda orange, and ain't nothing better when you're feeling sickish. And Slim say, we can sit up front now, because we crossed the Mason-Dixie line. And I asked him what that was. He said it was the line of the law for Jim Crow. And when I asked him who Jim Crow was, he says, that's you, boy. I ain't no Jim Crow anyhow, I told him. You know my name's Pictorial Jackson. Oh, says Slim, is that so? Well, I never knowed that, Look at here, Jim. Don't you know about that line that says you can't sit in the front of the bus when the bus runs below the Mason-Dixie line? What for you call me Jim? Now, Jim, he says, and cluck at me all solemn. You mean to tell me you don't know about that line? What line, I say. I ain't seen no such a line. What? Why, we just crossed it back there in Maryland. Didn't you see old Mason and Dixie holding that line across the road? Well, I says, did we run over it or underneath it? I was trying to recollect such a thing, but just can't. Well, I guess I must have been sleeping then. And Jim, he laughed and pushed my hair, slapped his knee. Jim, you kill me. What did that line look like, I asked him. Because I weren't old enough to know it was a joke yet. Well, Slim said he didn't know what such a line looked like neither, on account of he'd never seen it any more than I did. And he say, but there is such a line. Only thing is, it ain't on the ground, and it ain't in the air neither. It's just in the head of old Mason and Dixie. Just like all them other lines, border lines, state lines, parallel 38 lines, iron curtain lines. It's all just imaginary lines in people's heads and don't have nothing to do with the ground. Slim said that and then just got quiet, and he didn't call me Jim no more. And he said to himself, yes, sir, that's all it is, in people's heads. And the bus driver, man, he come back and said, all aboard, New York? And like I told you about traveling and not going backwards, we just went further. Woo! Straight ahead was that New York road. And all the traffic of the cars cutting in and out, zoom, zip. And that driver man just sit at the wheel without moving a muscle and look right ahead and push his big machine straight on through as fast as he can go. Anybody come out of a side street and see us coming, why, they just freeze right up and let us come by. That bus man just cleared the way for himself. He don't care. The others don't care neither, because they just barely miss us and go zip that away and zip this away after they miss. I reckon his bus couldn't ever stop if somebody got dead in the way. And then you couldn't find the pieces if he did, and couldn't look for the pieces except in the next county. Grandpa, you never seen such driving and breezing along, and everybody so nonchalant about it. And so sure, I tell you, I couldn't look. And Slim, he was asleep again. And this time his head dropped on my arm, just like mine had done on his arm in Washington. And he slept like that with his eyes closed right in front of the window. And here's that busman carrying him on through all that road just as faithful as you please. Slim weren't scared none, nor flinched awake. Well, I sure did love him a lot just then. And I said to myself, Pick, you had no call being scared last night when he come and carried you through the woods and told you not to worry. Now, Pick, you gots to grow up this minute for Slim. You ain't no country boy no more. And there we go, north to New York, in that tremendous bus on the road. Jack Kerouac is Pictorial Jackson. On the road. All right. So,
You're all done?
no, we're going to do the group piece coming up now.
Oh, okay, I was just checking. I was gonna, let's have a good hand before we even go any further.
All right. Phew, that was the hard one. Okay. So now we'll end with a sort of fun piece which we did last year.